Sure, my name is Liz Nottingham. I'm the People Team Director at Grey London, a top London advertising agency. I think a key thing for us is that we want people to have a point of view. We need people to have an opinion, and we need people to have passion. And I know sometimes the word passion tends to get a little bit misconstrued by people, but for me that's about, if you're coming into Grey for an interview as a grad, we expect you to be able to articulate what your favourite ad is, what you least like, why you like it, why you don't like it, what do you think the strategy behind it might be, how do you think they might be able to do it differently, what do you think about Marks & Spencer's current advertising campaign, what could they do differently about that. So if you want to be in advertising, then for us, you need to be looking at it, consuming it, thinking about it, processing it and having a view on it. So that's quite important for us. Another key area that's very important for us is around the whole area of communication, in terms of articulating those ideas, and also thinking about when you are working with clients, you need to be able to communicate in a meeting or present your idea or work and communicate with the rest of the team in the agency. So those are very important for us. There's something also about organising and planning. There's obviously an awful lot that goes on behind the scenes in terms of pulling together an advertisement and being able to plan and organise your own time to balance client requirements against agency requirements and make sure that the resources and the team are all lined up to be able to do those sorts of things. So multitasking as well as organising yourself and your own time. And that isn't about you working until 11 o'clock at night and then impacting on somebody else's time just because you're running late or you're behind on your deadline. There are plenty of good candidates out there, but what we're always looking for is that extra special bit. Isn't everybody always looking for that extra special bit? And by that I mean what we're also very interested in is what people have been doing whilst they've been college and university as well. So for example, one of our people who we were very impressed with the interview, who ticked all the boxes I've just described, was also at university recruited as a Red Bull marketeer. In fact, I've suggested that she comes and talks. And as part of her work at university, she was recruited by Red Bull, was involved in organising Vox Pops, looking at research groups, identifying target audiences, doing promotions, and out there working with and developing the brand of Red Bull. So for me, it's a bit like a cooking analogy. It's a bit like saying, I want to be a cordon bleu chef, but when you ask someone and you say, well, what's your signature dish? And they say, well, I haven't got one yet because I haven't been in the kitchen. What really sold Jess to us was she wasn't just thinking about, oh, I'd really love a career in advertising. She was up there and doing it. It's a bit like the people who want to be a writer and are already writing in the Student Union magazine. It's exactly the same sort of thing. So if you really, really want to be doing it, you're not just going to be thinking about it, you're going to be out there already doing it in one shape or form.
I'm Jess Palmer. I'm a grad at Grey London. Started here after doing a law degree and business degree at Leeds University.
Okay, so how long have you been with Grey?
I've been with Grey for 8 months, I think, about. I started on their grad scheme slightly later than everyone else, but obviously I'm doing something totally and utterly different to anything I've been trained in before. Advertising.
But did you know that you wanted to go into advertising?
No.
When did you decide that?
I decided very late on. After my law degree I decided.
Oh, okay.
Because having done a law degree I realised that really actually wasn't for me at the moment. So a little bit late. But I mean, my law degree again was very much not the sort of things I use every day here, except for the sort of more personal things that I learned. Learning the sort of day-to-day stuff and account handling, the things that I've picked up before, sort of obviously how to communicate with people, which I'm not doing very well right now, building relationships with people. The whole sort of idea of you have a client and you sit between the clients and the creatives means that you have to have this relationship that works very well between both of them. And sort of if you fail to sort of pick that up from the very beginning, it can be pretty disastrous. But that's not something I ever learnt at school or uni. It's just sort of how you are and how you, I suppose, conduct yourself. The day-to-day sort of account handling is very much about planning, organising, following timelines, getting things very last minute. It's quite sort of highly pressured, but all that kind of organisational skills are things that would be fantastic if somebody had sat down at the very beginning and given you a way to work it out in your head. I mean, I'm sort of bimbling along and certain people tell you to prioritise different things and you learn it as you go. But sort of, I don't know, if there was something that you could sort of teach you the fundamentals to how to make that easier and work better for you, it would be very helpful.
Okay. Do you think those things are specific to the ad industry, or do you think they're things that are more generic?
I'd say generic, because I think I haven't worked in any other sort of industry, but I imagine that you have the same sort of pressures, maybe not quite as fast turnarounds and things like that. But at the end of the day, what I do is account handling, and so that is day-to-day organisation of keeping things going and on track.
Right. So can you imagine what kind of things you might do in school that would help you with it?
Yeah, I suppose any form of course, which is people actually sitting down and telling you how to prioritise, what is a sort of priority. When you're at school, you do certain projects sort of on your own, but you never have that sort of reign to just go free and go with what you want. And I suppose at university you're put in these groups and you had to come up with several business ideas which work best. You had to actually make the product, you had to sell them, you had to market it. It was a fantastic process of seeing how that all works. And I mean, advertising is obviously part of that, with this sort of bigger mix, and in anything that teaches you more about the industry as a whole rather than the individual bits is probably extremely helpful. I would say extremely helpful.
What do you think you still need to learn? What kind of skills do you still need to develop?
Well, at the stage I'm at now?
That you need now that maybe you could have learned before.
And then went to university, and I'm in an industry that is extremely creative. I don't actually come up with the ideas, but to have an understanding of how it works as the creative mind, to have your idea taken and then sold, and would sort of be a very interesting aspect of sort of, I don't know what I'm trying to say, like point of view to understand. So if there's a way of like sort of teaching that would be great. The basics of running an account, you have to be able to sort of juggle your finances with your timing plan, with everything alongside each other. It's not just necessarily learning about one individually. So that sort of whole sort of timing organisation thing, I think, is a really basic one that would be great to understand. God, I'm learning every day. There's millions of things that I'd love to learn.